Once upon a time, in a small village near Lagos, there lived a young woman named Toyin. She wasn't just any young woman. She was the type of person whose eyes shone with dreams far bigger than her reality. Toyin's life had always been filled with struggle. After losing both her parents at a young age, she was left in the care of her auntie Morenike, a kind but aging woman who did everything she could to support Toyin. But even with her aunt's love, Toyin often felt alone, like the weight of the world rested on her small shoulders. Toyin wasn't born for this life, or at least that's what she believed deep down. Every night before she went to bed, she would stare up at the ceiling and think about a future she could barely touch. She wanted more than the daily grind of selling plantains in the market, more than the endless struggle to make ends meet. Before she ended up in the market selling plantains, Toyin had tried her hands at other things. She loved to learn and had a sharp mind. She had taken sewing lessons, hoping to become a skilled tailor, but they could never afford the sewing machine she needed to practice at home. She had saved money to attend night school, dreaming of finishing her education. But when her aunt fell sick, Toyin spent all her savings on medicine and hospital bills. Every dream she tried to chase felt like it was slipping further and further away. Life had a way of humbling her dreams. The disappointment of her failed attempts weighed heavily on her, yet Toyin refused to give up. Every morning, she would wake up before the first light, push her emotions aside, and head to the market. As she carried the heavy basket of plantains on her head, walking the dusty paths that led to the crowded marketplace, her heart ached, but she masked her pain with a bright smile, because she knew Auntie Morenike depended on her, and the market was all they had. As she settled in her spot in the market, arranging the plantains, she often wondered if this was all life would ever offer her. Would she spend the rest of her days under the hot sun, calling out to buyers, haggling over prices, and counting her small earnings at the end of each day? And yet, Toyin never stopped hoping. She had a deep, quiet resilience, a belief that somehow, someday, something good was going to happen. She held on to that hope with everything she had, even when things seemed hopeless. As she stepped into the bustling market, Toyin plastered on her usual smile, but inside she felt a different kind of heaviness, a growing sense that life was passing her by. Every woman she saw walking by with her children, every man that hurried to work in clean suits and polished shoes, made her wonder if her time would ever come. Sometimes, it was hard not to feel invisible, like the world was moving forward while she was stuck in the same place. She remembered the day she had watched one of her childhood friends leave the village for university. Toyin had waved goodbye with tears in her eyes, knowing she couldn't afford such dreams for herself. Her friend had hugged her tightly and whispered, "Don't worry, Toyin, your time will come." But when? Despite the hard days, Toyin was loved in the village. She was always willing to help others, even when she had little herself. The women in the market admired her strength, even though they didn't fully understand her dreams. They saw her as a beautiful girl with a hard-working spirit, but they didn't know about the silent battles she fought every day, the battles in her mind, the dreams she kept hidden in her heart, because admitting them out loud would make the pain of unfulfilled hopes even more real. Auntie Morenike, too, saw Toyin's struggle, though she never mentioned it. She would just pat her on the shoulder at the end of each day and say, "You're doing well, my child. The world hasn't seen the best of you yet." Those words, simple as they were, gave Toyin just enough strength to keep going. But everything changed the day she met him, Prince Tade. That fateful encounter wasn't one Toyin had planned, nor could she have imagined how her life was about to turn upside down. As Toyin handed over the plantains, she glanced up and saw the young man's eyes. They were warm, but there was something more, something that felt different from the usual market-goers. His demeanor was kind, and he spoke with a soft, engaging tone that made Toyin feel at ease. Little did she know, this seemingly ordinary man was actually Prince Tade, who had chosen to walk among the common people to understand their lives better. Prince Tade had recently become frustrated with the palace's isolation from his people. His advisors had shielded him from the real world, and he longed to connect with his subjects genuinely. Disguised as an ordinary person, he visited the market, hoping to learn about the lives and struggles of the people he would one day rule. Toyin's genuine kindness and resilience struck a chord with him. She was unlike anyone he had met before. Her struggles seemed real, her dreams tangible. As he continued to chat with Toyin, he couldn't help but be drawn to her spirit and her unwavering hope despite her circumstances. But as Prince Tade returned to his royal duties, he couldn't shake off the image of Toyin from his mind. He knew that he had to return to her, but the reality of his royal status complicated things. How could he bridge the gap between his secret life and the responsibilities awaiting him in the palace? This was where Toyin's journey truly began. But would this chance encounter be the blessing she had always hoped for, or would it bring more struggles into her life? The answers lay ahead, but for now, Toyin was about to enter a world she never thought she could be a part of.